I have not been able to do that for a while. I am so excited to be here. Igor, welcome to the Mikey G Podcast Experience. How are you doing, my man?
Awesome. So thanks for having me, Mikey. Great to be here.
Absolutely. I am so excited to have you. We're going to get into a beautiful conversation. You're just such a beautiful mind, and I know we're going to go in so many different directions. And I was thinking about this a couple days ago, and I was like, I am amped for this one. But before we get there, little update about myself. Things are cooking. We got funding, we've got paying clients. We are trying to help. And Igor, we'll talk about this. Skynet is real. And like, how do you stop that? We all saw what happened with the Pentagon showdown this last week. Props to Dario. Thank you, Dario, for actually standing up. I had there was 100% I would have bet on my mortgage of Dario buckling, but he didn't. And then Sam, you step in and you make the wrong decision, but it's okay. We knew this was going to happen. So we need to try to figure out how to stop that. We're doing that with a startup SPQR. Adam, he had actually been on this podcast a year and a half ago. That's how we met. I promise you, people, this is the one thing that you need to concentrate on, especially with the world of AI. Just go shake a hand. Find a group of people that you like, find common interests, but go have meaningful conversations. Don't use LinkedIn and try to get followers. Don't use Twitter and try to get followers. Use those platforms to send DMs and have meaningful conversations like we're about to have. That is the true alpha, people. And I've spent 6 years doing that, and my life has completely changed because of it. I promise you that is the thing you need to do over and above anything else. So the startup's doing great. We have a second podcast called Guardrails. Igor's going to come on that too. And we're really talking about safety and governance in the age of AI and having open conversations with thought leaders like himself to figure out how do we solve these problems? How do we make humans benefit from AI and not create this dystopian future that we're heading towards with a lot of bad decisions like we had this past week? That is what I've been working on. You don't see me much on Twitter anymore. This is purposeful. I had my time in the Web3 blockchain crypto bros space. I have made many, many, many great relationships there, but my content just does not make sense for people trying to make money through a casino. That's what it has really boiled down to. And so you will find me on LinkedIn. You will find me on my typical podcast format. I still will tweet from time to time because I like I said, I love you all and I have a bunch of really good friends there, but you will not be seeing me tweet like I used to. But that's it. Enough about me. The rest is about my man, Igor. I had saw his co-founder made a comment. We linked up and then we all had an intro call. And I was thinking that I was going to get Anton. Why can I not? Can you pronounce his name?
Yeah, it's a very beautiful name. It's called Antoine Janssen, but it sounds very Dutch.
It's
And
very Dutch.
it's very
So
Dutch. And yeah.
the goal was the I thought I'd have a conversation with him, but he invited Igor, and by the end of the conversation, we're have 4 podcasts going on because they're both beautiful human beings. But Igor, he has been a hacker since day one. Inventor of the OCHP protocol. I hope I said that right, which is the charging information for electric cars that basically fundamentally changed the charging and electrical infrastructure for the whole world. Just tiny little thing that he did. Virtual reality infrastructure in Europe was the first virtual reality infrastructure to build. Expand upon that because I wasn't truly understanding the click down on that infrastructure that you build about the power, water, and gas.
All right. Yeah. So I was working at Alliander, which is a power distribution company in the Netherlands for power and gas.
Yeah,
About 2/3 of the Netherlands is managed by them, so they own the infrastructure.
yeah,
Also part of the high voltage net in Germany. And I had a chat with a friend of mine, Maarten van Riet, who is also a senior consultant at Liandon Engineering. So
yeah,
about 700 engineers working together.
yeah,
And Paulus Achterberg, who was the director strategy of Alliander. And Peter Molengraaf, who is the CEO of Alliander. So we're sitting in a chamber somewhere in the beautiful Netherlands called Duiven, which is let's say the first energy positive building of office of the Netherlands. Yeah, because
That's
energy is
beautiful.
the core business.
Hmm.
It's everyone is in the energy transition. That's for sure. That's also what makes me tick, or what resonates
Mm.
with me as a person. We have to change the way how we live. Um, and work as people when we consume energy and fossil fuel. So we need to think differently.
Yes.
So what you clearly pointed out, yeah, I was a hacker since day one. Why? Because I was bored. It started as a joke.
All right.
This is the
Wait,
true
wait. So
story.
hold on. We're going into the story right now. I was really just
Yeah.
talking about the more power, water, gas,
Oh
and
yeah.
anything to
So
expand on the
yeah,
virtual
yeah. So
reality
yeah.
part.
So to come back to, let's say, that moment, that pivotal moment in my life, actually, Peter Molengraaf, yeah, he was in front of me, and he said, "Suppose you have 1 million euro. What will you do with that?" And I said, "Okay, why not create a virtual layer of power, water, gas, and use a real-time 3D simulation in virtual reality? Basically, you walk on the street and you can see through the ground, and we're talking about 8 years ago, and you see how much amps is going through the ground. And if there is a disruption, you can see it in real time. What's the implication of a brownout, of a blackout in the city?" Everybody was thinking
You-
back in the days, power always stays on. No, I don't think so. The current infragrid, the infrastructure is aging, to say the least. So we inherited museum,
Yeah, yeah.
and also in the US, by the way. So a lot of old
Oh, it's
technology.
horrific in
What
the
is
US. I used to work for a solar
yeah,
company, right? I know all about it.
uh, it's terrible.
It's very bad. It's we're
Yeah,
we're 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 operating on 100+ year technology that
yeah,
hasn't
correct,
changed. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
okay. So, listen, you've created these awesome virtual reality systems. One of the really interesting facts, though, that not many people know about my man Igor is he loves music and he has a digital avatar as well that you can find on Spotify. What is the name of the avatar, Igor?
Yeah, the name of the avatar is called Blackout Anna, and yeah, and why I created that one, it's basically as an anchor person to tell the story about prepping, because I'm a prepper myself, so I know what to do when the shit hits the fan, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody was saying, yeah, 4 years ago, Igor, yeah, it will never happen. Don't worry, yada yada, happy happy. Yeah, come on.
And now
Reality is
and
different.
now we're here.
We are in a world with hybrid warfare. Chinese and Russian hackers are in our critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
A blackout is certain. It's not the question if, the question is when.
Yep.
I also written a book about that, Blackout Architect of Chaos, which is a very nice story, but a bit dramatic.
Yep.
Um, but to tell the story in a way which resonates by people, I created this virtual character, of course, with AI.
Yep.
And I created several songs, and one is called prepblackout.eu. You can find it on Spotify. And then this girl is singing about, that the grid's becoming shaky. You have to prepare, but I already have a plan. I'm connected to my neighbors. I will survive this thing. So it's, of
It's
course, it's a little bit
fantastic.
over the edge, but
Yeah.
it's a fun way to, let's say, to foster two thoughts. One, don't think the government will save you. Forget it. You need to save your own ass.
Yep.
That's one. Second, if you don't prepare, you are the first one who has a serious problem,
Yep.
meaning you will not survive the crisis.
Yep.
And because I have the background in critical infrastructure, I always think ahead. I don't
Mhm.
think in
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
frames of 1 year.
Mhm.
I think in 10 years, 50 years, 100 plus years.
Yes.
And and
Yes.
and that's really nice because I learned that in my education in the USA at Singularity University. Okay, but
Ah,
continue.
my man Peter. I love the
Yeah, yeah,
moonshots, right?
yeah. Peter Diamandis, he is a freaking rock star, and Ray Kuso, by the way, the same.
Oh, Ray
Uh,
is he's
yeah, yeah,
Godfather,
yeah,
man.
yeah. He's the godfather of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
CTO of Google. He created so many inventions, and for me, it was a freaking privilege, to be in the class with Ray and Dr. Diamantis
It's
and with my
insane.
CEO Peter Molengraaf,
Yeah.
and digest all that information. So for me, that as an entrepreneur, but also as a person, this was a life pivotal moment of insights.
Yeah. So many. All right. So this is, I will tell you this, Igor. We're almost at 250 founders on the show.
Wow, cool.
The most robust, quick resume, pull-up points, and you have so much information and experience. I cannot wait to get there. And to do that, it seems like we've already started the show, but technically we haven't because this was just the warm icebreaker intro, right?
Exactly.
To
Yeah.
get to the true show, it is simple, man. It's the world famous Mikey G podcast experience. Question, Igor, how did you get to the seat you're sitting in today? To reiterate for the audience who has never listened to the show before or will listen to this first time on podcasts or Spotify platforms or all the platforms out there, chapter 1 is your childhood. Prompting questions here. Parents, parental figures, what were their mantras? Be kind, work hard, pay forward, save the world, obviously. But think about energy. Maybe that was it. Were you a tinkerer? Did you play sports? You have one really vivid memory. You give me that, and we are going to be able, off and go, we run. Chapter 2, schooling, professional career, all of the stuff that you were talking about. But what the words that really got me excited, whereas this was a pivotal moment. Why was that a pivotal moment? And I really want to understand that. So that's chapter 2. And then chapter 3 is exactly why we're here, which is literally how do we change the world with technology to make sure we have a better future? Because there are many reasons why it's not looking great right now. And we need to do a better job. And people like you, people like myself, who truly believe in humans and want to do the right thing, I think can change the world still. We still have hope. So with that being said, start anywhere in the childhood, man, and off and go we run. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, let's say as a child, I was a bit difficult, bored all the time. I molested everything. So from TVs to operations, I even built my own waterfall in the new house of my parents. So it was a circular pump, so pumping water around, and of course it leaked. And we were sitting at a dinner table, and the water starts dripping because the waterfall was leaking.
Right.
So yeah, every childhood has its pros and cons. My parents
Yeah.
were quite young, but because they were not adults. They
Yeah.
were extreme young parents.
I
And
relate. My mom was 19.
yeah, exactly. Same. Yeah. So that's it's always different if your parents are very young,
Yeah.
because in the end, if you are a parent and you have children, you always have, yeah, let's say, things you regret or did better, or.
Yep.
But in the end, it's really about finding your balance between what you want in life. Does it align with your family still, and will it grow in a way that makes sense? And
Yeah.
that's always very difficult. We moved a lot as children
Hmm.
with my parents. So first to Tilburg, then to Kampen, where yeah, I'm Christian myself, so I don't mind Christians, but that village was like the number one capital of the Netherlands when it comes to Christianity. So many churches, it was like, what the, it's like
A little
feeding the
much.
stockings, a little much. So, and then 3 years later, we moved to Middelburg, which is in the beautiful Zeeland, which is Walcheren, which is on the sea. Yeah, so basically, uh, having real friends in your childhood was always difficult because you are, picked up, moving to another place, picked up, moving to. So it's
Mhm.
more like an expat lifestyle.
So
Um,
talk to
and
me.
and I.
Go ahead.
Mhm.
No,
and
go
and
ahead.
and I also moved out my parents' house very fast at the age of 17,
Ooh.
and had my first job,
Yeah.
and then At 18, I went to the military service because I didn't know what to do with my life, to be really honest.
Yeah.
But it's
So
very
let's
good
stop.
that
Let's
you
stop
that.
there because you're already at
Mhm.
17, and I already have a rack
Yeah.
of questions. So we're gonna rewind here first.
Yeah.
Rewind here first in the sense of one of the first things you said is fascinating, which is you were just breaking things, right? You were
Yep.
really deeply. I am always very interested in where do you think that came from? Was this just inherent curiosity from your parents urging you to be curious? Do you feel like it was just a part of you? Like I feel fascinating as to why people think the way they do. Any thoughts there?
I think, to be really honest, I think we are pre-programmed. So
Ooh,
it's
give it to
like
me.
remembering stuff you did not cannot remember because it's new information. So let me give you an example. So I yeah, also at the age of 17, I had my own drive-in show, Venus, and moved around, make some quick bucks, and
Yeah,
then all drink it and have fun.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah, life is about fun, of course.
Yeah,
But then I was playing with the television set, and I was looking at how the catsuit, let's say the tube, and let's say the wiring on the tube was influencing the image in an analog TV, and I was fascinated by that. I said, what if I could tune an audio signal to, let's say that high voltage tube, so influencing high voltage with let's say AC current from a speaker, and see how it could be used. And as a result, you get this very wiggly, let's say, image. So I
yeah.
created basically my own image synthesizers with analog uh, things at the age of what was it, 12,
Of
17,
course you
13.
did. Why not? But here's the
Yeah, and
question. So that's beautiful. That's a beautiful insight. But why do you think, and this is sort of the crux of what I'm getting at. Looking back, obviously you're not thinking about it this time. This is all reflective. Why do you think you thought about that and I just watched TV because I thought it was entertaining, right? Like you went to this other depth, and I'm fascinated as to why, whether that was just ingrained in you or you read a book that was like, this is the
no,
starting to mold the mindset, or your parents giving you information. What are your thoughts there? And if you don't have an answer, that's totally cool.
no, I think that the true two things that come to mind is curiosity and
Mm.
passion,
Mm.
and also the last very important ingredient, absolute boredom. So,
That
so
that's a great insight, though. That is a
it's,
great
it's, it,
insight.
it's like, there is nothing here that your friends are talking about total bullshit and you cannot relate to. You feel like a techie.
Uh-huh.
It's like Star Trek.
Yeah.
I'm a kind of, let's say, the Star Trekky guy, and then the other one, they talk in a different universe, and I really don't give a shit about playing football.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
What I care about is solving issues, problems,
Mm.
and if I don't have a problem, I make one.
That's it
Yeah,
sounds like it. It sounds like it. And I listen, curiosity, passion. I love the boredom insight because not many people say that. The curiosity and passion, then back to it. Where, looking back, I think as young, these are kind of things that feel inherent. Can you talk to me about in your childhood, these younger years, where you think that curiosity and passion really sparked? Was it the first time you saw a computer? Was it a movie? Was it a book you read? Was it
it
some
was a book.
pivotal moment?
Yeah, yeah. There was a book was called Great Inventions, and
Mm,
it was a book for adults. But I was a child.
yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah.
But I was reading it. I said, okay, that's great. How the heck can people think of something when there is nothing? So I was fascinated by the idea how to create, basically start the creation process pure as a thought projection pattern as a child. I was
Interesting.
fascinated by that.
Yeah,
So I said, yeah, okay. And of course, that's for a child's also a little bit problematic because you think literally thousands of, let's say, ideas
yeah.
per minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and when we're also at school, it was really terrible for me because I was at the school and yeah, I was bored all the time. So high school was yeah, for me basically two things: organizing parties, getting drunk, and getting late. That's it.
Yeah.
And be yeah.
Yeah.
And then my parents looked at me and said, maybe you should go into the army. And I said, okay, yeah, why not? But in the end, that's the best decision I ever made in my life. Why? Because when you are standing in line and you look left from you and you look right from you, and then fuck, I really need to get a degree
Yeah.
because otherwise I will be working with this absolute idiot,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, that's not fun.
So that's interesting to me because there's what I heard you say is there's this reality, and it's amazing to be a tinker and an entrepreneur and a thinker, but there's also a practical element in
Yep,
the military made you realize that. Talk
yep.
to me more about, actually, there was one more thing, that I was interested in your childhood, and then we can get to this kind of military because now you're starting to it's like the real world and the tinker, crazy inventor Igor are starting to smash. So we'll go there. But before that, you mentioned something about moving around and the social aspect. Looking back at that, um, how were you balancing that? How do you think it affected you? Do you think that just was the byproduct of now you're just being crazy inventor more because you're not having any deep like friendships and you just got more time and you just want to concentrate on that? Like any reflections there?
Yeah, I think when you move a lot and you don't, let's say, stay long in one place,
Yeah,
you have two things which are very vital. You have the way to adapt faster than others.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's you realize you are there, but you need to adapt to that new situation.
Mhm.
That needs attention, focus, but also a kind of yeah, I can say it correctly. The You have to undergo it. You cannot direct it yourself. You are part of a process. You have to go with the flow to that
Yeah,
new
yeah, 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 yeah.
new situation.
You turn into a
Um,
chameleon a little bit.
exactly, and that's also why I speak a lot of languages very
Mm,
fast, and
mm.
I also can let's say speak a dialect in the Netherlands. So when people talk to me, Igor, you're just like a chameleon. You're just here 1 2 days, and you are already absorbing how we think, and
Mhm.
also talk like us.
Yeah,
And yeah, and but I think for me it was as a person it was not nice because it's difficult as a child if you move around all the time and do things. But in the end, it's also um, yeah. I have, let's say, 2 3 friends still from my childhood, and that's it. And
yeah,
that's a lot,
yeah, yeah,
to be honest.
yeah, yeah.
But
That is a
yeah,
lot, and it's insights. It makes sense. I think your insights were meaningful. That the as we turn around here, because I think this is always a thing that comes up. We talked about passion, we talked about boredom, but you talked about purpose as well too.
yep,
The other thing that I hear you say but haven't physically said, which is creativity and
yep.
ideation. Talk to me about that in the sense of when you look back and reflect on that childhood, what does creativity mean to you? How are you starting to manifest all of this ideations? Was it a lot of just fantasy worlds in your brain? Were you doing things physically in the world? I'm interested in how that was starting to formulate and percolate in your mind.
Um, it started, to be really honest, as a survival mechanism to
Mm,
survive the boredom. That's basically
that's
it.
a beautiful
Because
insight.
if you are not challenged enough, you play dumb, you are dumb, but you don't care
Right.
because um, I'm as a child I was more, let's say, an introvert, so
Yeah.
keeping things
Yeah.
for myself. I was
Yeah.
not sharing. Sometimes I was of course mad and do things, but yeah. Later, I learned in other also through my education, but also to talking with friends and colleagues, that it's really about balancing your life uh, in a certain direction that is fulfilling. And if you don't find that direction, you are nowhere.
Mm.
So for me as a child, it was really hard that I was talking to friends and said, "What do you want to become later?" Huh? So I say, "I want to be the president of an astronaut or an inventor, whatever." And I said, "No, I just want to be a bookkeeper or perfectly fine or sell houses." And I said, "Okay, it's of course everybody has a different job, but it's not the thing I'm excited about. And for me, that's utterly boredom."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not
yeah,
aspirational too.
no,
Here's
no.
a last question. And um, but it's, I think about this and I don't think I have an answer. But it's why, well, actually, I actually do have an answer. I have a thought. I'd be interested in yours. Why do you think the person, um, and not saying it's right or wrong, but why do you think the person just settles on bookkeeper? Whereas me and you are like, we need to change the world because we have this passion. What do you think's happening there? Do you have any thoughts?
Lack of ambition, lack of insights that one person can change the world.
Mm,
Also, because people think that is too big for me, I will never make it.
right.
And also, people are ashamed about being very vocal about what they want in life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would layer, I love all of those. Would love your reaction to this. I would actually layer on, I think it's a pure lack of self-awareness, right?
Absolutely.
Of people not having, I say this a lot because of all the things I've been through. Unfortunately, people go their whole lives and don't have the conversation in the mirror of like, who am I? What am I passionate about? And that all
Yep.
comes from a lot of self-talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's also the typical, let's say, conscience level. So
Mm,
people live literally from paycheck to paycheck. They
mhm,
try to make a living,
mhm.
and that's it. And of course, you can live like that, but in the end, I have this deep ticker inside me. I want to impact people with positive things,
Yeah.
what they can
Yeah.
touch. So if it is music, if it is inventions, if
Yeah.
it's software, if it's about responsible use of AI,
Yeah.
in the end, we share this world. We share the same sky everywhere. We have
Yeah.
a huge
Yeah.
problem right
Yeah.
now. The polarization is insane.
It's insane. And so my question to you is for those people that probably aren't even registering this or thinking about this, what would be your advice to at least the person that's like, what these two crazy redheaded dude and other dude Igor from across the world are saying is interesting. I don't get it. What is your advice to them to start this journey?
Turn off the crisis news network, so CNN, Fox, all those crappy channels. Uh, Turn off your mobile, walk in nature, read a book, and start to draw what you read and explain to yourself if you really fully understand the book.
Oh,
Because
love that.
that taps into two things. Um, Information becomes knowledge, repetition becomes pattern recognition, the recognition becomes insight. So
Right,
it's several cycles uh, to start up your small spark of creativity, which is in every human being.
right, right. Oh, man, that was such a beautiful insight. See, this is what we're doing here. And we haven't
Mhm.
even got to you in the military yet. And we could
No.
stop right now. And I told you, Igor, We already changed a life. 100%. I guarantee you that happened. So
I
let's
hope.
go to, and why I love this part is we're already starting to get to kind of chapter 2 a little bit, but what's really interesting the way that you said it was you have this beautiful mind. You're already picking things apart. You're making analog image shapers and everything else. But then shit, you go to the military and you say it's one of the best things that's happened to you. And what I was interpreting is like there's now just the smashing of reality and how some of the world works and my beautiful mind that you have built.
Mhm.
So take me through that because we actually ended at you look to the left, you look to the right, and you're like, well, I don't want to be hanging out with these people.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's move forward from there.
So yeah, so high school was terrible.
Mm,
I could, let's say, do a exam at a technical school, and if I passed the exam on the technical school, I was hired. But high school was,
right.
yeah, a total waste of time, to be honest.
Mm,
Um, but when I was in the military, I learned two things: structure, discipline, but also the power of the collective.
oh,
You
I
as a
like
group,
that.
and that was a real insight. So you have two, you can look at it from a negative way, like I don't want to belong to all those stupid, let's say,
Correct.
people who chose to become a soldier.
Correct.
And for us it was not a professional military. It's like you get a number, you get a code. 88 6 was my call sign,
Mhm.
and then you were just taken into the military. You get your basis training, etc. But yeah, for me, it was a world within a world, which is already true. Because if you look at the military world, it's a different legal system. You have a
Yeah.
militaire recht. So you don't exist anymore as a civilian with civilian
Mm,
rights. No, you are
mhm,
military with military rights.
mhm.
That's, for me, that was also very educational, because then I realized, okay, this is really uh, a world which is pillared on power. It's not about a soft story. It's really about action. And it's also because yeah, when I was there, it was not such a fun time, to be honest. But
Oh,
I
for sure.
chose to go to a longer, let's say, service in the military, to get a legal process running in the parliament in The Hague, to cancel, let's say, the not professional army. So so at the age of then yeah, 18, 19, I was just walking into a room with all soldiers who were just being called, play the soldier, yada yada yada. They
Yeah.
say, yeah, you say, yeah, I'm Igor, you can vote on me. And if one point we we stop this shit show, we only have a professional army in the future. And
Interesting.
everybody said, yeah. And to my surprise, I was elected and went to the VVDM, which is the Vakbond Voordienstplichtig Militairen, which is a kind of, let's say, uh, a government type of structure, yeah, a union for soldiers, which
Yeah.
are not
Yeah.
soldiers professionally, but for the call sign. And then I was also doing some military legal reading and
Uh-huh.
how to kill that process, which
Interesting.
worked.
So I have one question here. I'm really interested in your response, which is there are like, do you think the excitement from the people? What do you think the success was there? And that's because I'm fascinated with this concept of what makes people successful and success in the terms of creating change, right? Not making money, but like, was that a more of a right time at the right place, or did you just have such a powerful idea and make it simple for people to just resonate with it? Like, I'm
Exactly, the
interested.
last one.
You think so?
In the end, it's, if you want to lead people, you have to talk their language.
Mm,
That means you have to send out one signal which resonates, and then make people move. So they have an action. So they will send their signature that you become elected.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of, let's say, pre-politics kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And I like, man, you just keep on dropping these insightful bombs. It's amazing. So,
I hope someone can use it. Yeah.
oh, there's no doubt in my mind, and we're gonna cut this up, and it's gonna be beautiful. So take me through. You have this beautiful idea that like, hey, let's stop this shit show. But actually, you said two more things. There's a reflecting back, and then we'll progress. Which is, I thought it was really interesting because some of the people around you, like not really interesting on an intellectual level for you, but there is something about this camaraderie and being part of a group. That's actually
Yep.
so what some of the things when you said sparked in my mind is like I played college sports. I played for my first year, I played tennis. And that camaraderie feeling is, and I think it's something about being human, right? Too. Humans crave this type of stuff. Was it just that? Was it the camaraderie side? What was the insight there for you to say like, I like part of this, but I don't like all of it when it comes to the kind of the group, being part of a group? What are your thoughts there?
Um, it's fundamental that you ground in you as a person and don't create another, let's say, person just to survive the group behavior. That
Mm,
takes that takes courage, but also consequent behavior.
right, right,
So yeah, you have two types of people: the people who are followers and the leaders.
right,
So the most people are sheep. You just
right.
say, okay, this one direction, there's better food, or the grass is more green, whatever. And people walk there, but they don't think because they don't think critically at all.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like, to come back to that, let's say, the TV thing and also the tinkering with stuff, it raises your frequency and it creates a complete different conscience level.
Yes.
and
That
and that's also why it's hard to relate to people who don't are in that space, because you don't have this resonance at all.
Yeah, that's a beautiful insight and way to put it. Oh man, amazing. Okay, so you're changing you're changing the way the military is acting. You're getting into kind of leading. There's a little politics there. Take
Yeah.
me if there's nothing else more from like the schooling part of the military experience. Let's move forward wherever you want to go.
Yeah, so then I was at a technical college in Vlissingen at the
Hmm.
sea, which was nice. And to be honest, my childhood was very lazy. So leaving the house at 18, so living as a student, basically I was relaxing on the beach,
Yeah,
just laying down, a bit surfing, and for the rest, yeah, school is cool, whatever, enjoy life.
you were enjoying
Uh,
life,
exactly, because I
which is
think that's
important
that's
too.
yeah, it is really important because if you don't have, let's say, enough play space, also in your life, you mature not as your, let's say, independent mind at all. Um,
You are speaking my language.
that
My go ahead.
so
Go ahead.
to let's say, to connect really with people,
Hmm.
sometimes it's good to be alone and to listen only to your inner voice, and think, now I have the curiosity to connect to someone and to relate to someone and do something.
Huh? Uh-huh.
And and for
You
me, it
know,
was,
I've never that's actually something I do, but I have not realized that until you said it that way. Thank you for that.
oh, you're welcome. So, but yeah, so I did so first a technical school, then another technical school, and then I went to the Erasmus University and I met Professor van der Klauw and created the CDI, which is called Het Station. So the first, let's say, virtual simulator for handicapped children to buy flowers at the station, move from A to B, and created some software for it.
So
But
so an,
then,
so an instant like that, this is interesting to me. Does that like Why did you pick that? Because you just saw it was a problem you saw, walking through the town one day, or was it goes back to that passion part?
So yeah, also at the technical school, I was bored like F, to be honest. So,
Mm-hmm.
and my father know a professor at Erasmus University. So I went in and said, okay, I want to be an intern here. And he said, yeah, I don't need an intern. I said, yeah, but you need me. You don't know it yet. Yeah,
Oh, but
of course,
there's
total.
something. Talk to me about that though. That is a really fascinating point, which is there becomes at this moment in time because you're still relatively young.
Yeah,
That is, I would not call that arrogance. That's confidence, right? And so that
yes,
confidence came from just your. Was it just how confident you were in your skill set in your mind? What like
yeah,
why was that your response?
problem solving. So
Mm, yes.
it's basically problem solving. So that let's say when you are at the university, it's easier to show people only the solution
Yeah.
and not the whole bullshit before it. Because yeah, to be honest, I think that's utterly boredom. I just want to see, okay, what is really new, what you created? Why does it work? What is the thesis? What is the proof? And can you show it to me in a way that it becomes digestible and also has a practical use for the world?
Yeah.
So yeah, but for me, that's let's say that um, time at university was super fun
Yeah.
because I learned how to build virtual worlds and yada yada, and uh, and graduated, of course, and then go to my first job, which was in The Hague. And I had a wonderful, really wonderful experience and pure luck because there was one ad, and yeah, and it was a multimedia specialist kind of thing. That was my first job ever.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, what the fuck, what is multimedia anyway? You look it
Yeah.
up, you start reading,
Yeah.
and it's typical what you do when you're young. You just you read until you drop, and then you know it next day.
Yeah.
I got that job, and then I was working with Mark Kanter from Macromedia in San Francisco, and
Macromedia Flash, baby.
e- exactly, baby. So Macromedia was with director was basically the first, let's say, intuitive way to create those micro worlds for CDI and CD-ROM and later the web. And I went to San Francisco. And when I was in San Francisco and talked to Mark Kanter and the people at Macromedia, I really know, oh, fuck, Silicon Valley is really the place to be because everybody here thinks like me. We are
Yeah.
different. We are a
Yeah.
different species. Um, and then, yeah, I basically went back. Um, and yeah, that job, the first job was, yeah, I was also, to be honest, a bit bored very fast.
This is a theme that we
Yeah,
might
that's a
just
yeah,
title this "The Power of Boredom."
yeah, exactly. That's really true. If you are bored, you reflect and you start creating automatically. For me, it's like that because it's like you have more bandwidth
Yeah.
than average probably, and you use that bandwidth basically to tune your mind to something which is really challenging. So
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so to come back to that story, I worked, of course, yeah, 7 days in a week, and living in The Hague, and surfing on the beach, and baking in the sun, and more margaritas. So it's very bad for your health, but really
Yes, it
fun.
is. I went through
Yeah,
that stage.
yeah, yeah. So then I came at a advertising agency in Nieuwegein, and that advertising agency was almost bankrupt, firing people,
Right.
and yeah, and then that owner said to me, Igor, can you create something which is really awesome and nice? And I said, sure. What about a virtual shopping mall? And he said, what? A virtual shop? And we're talking now 20, 25 years ago. Huh? That was the first
Yeah.
virtual shop.
Right.
And a virtual shopping mall? He said, yeah, you have your TV, you have your remote, you order stuff, and 80% what you buy in your shop is always the same. So who gives just recurring data? It's nothing
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
because everybody needs milk, bread,
Right.
shampoo, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then he said, yeah, that's quite brilliant. So then I created a proposal and sent it to Center together also then with my ex-partner. And we got 1.7 million or so at the age of 27. That's always bad. A lot of money, young,
Yeah.
and you're going to crazy things. So
Yeah.
I went
Talk to me
to
about that period though, the lots of money. Like, what is the insight for the because it makes me think about, I grew up in DC, and I always used to say, there is a tool bag is the word. I mean, I could say worse terms. I'm going to use the word tool bag. So there was a
Mhm.
Capitol Hill tool bag, which was mommy and daddy were paying for a very expensive apartment to try to be somebody in the politic world, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they were just a breed. And then when I moved to San Francisco, Silicon Valley myself, and worked downtown San Francisco at a solar
Mhm.
startup, there was the Silicon Valley tool bag, which was I'm 21. I picked the right startup to work for, and now I have millions of dollars way too early in life because I barely know who I am as a human being. That is the San
Yeah.
Francisco Silicon Valley tool bag, right? And they're very
Yeah.
different, but they are also the very similar. So you
Yep.
went through a little bit of a Silicon Valley tool bag era. What
Yep.
what looking back, what was it that you would have done differently, or why do you think you did the things you did?
Yeah, it's difficult, because time is relentless. So you make the wrong decisions, but you cannot reverse time ever.
Correct.
That's the harsh
Correct.
reality. But then I can relate to absolute loneliness. So I never
Ooh,
felt more alone. Uh, Although I was very successful, but I was at a party in Club Liquid in Miami in the Art Deco district. You know that place probably
yeah.
very well. So all shiny people and everybody was drunk and whatever. And I was sitting on that table and looking left from me and right from me, all famous persons with a lot of shitload more money. And then I realized, is this really the life what I'm looking for? So for me, that was pivotal. So it's
Yes.
like I'm sitting on the table and everybody is drunk and having party and very expensive $1,000 bottle champagne on the table. But you really think is, hmm, I think this is an end point in my life. I need to change track here
Yes.
and now.
Yes.
Um, so then I decided to basically start from scratch, literally. So I moved back to my parents. So I quit my relationship, moved back to my parents. I was married, so I divorced. And then I started to work at the Digital City Foundation in
Okay.
Amsterdam. And that was, for me, again, tinkering with stuff. So I had
Real quick
great
before
luck.
we get to Digital City, I just had this thought, and I would love your feedback on this one, which is
Mhm.
you said time is relentless, which I agree with,
Yep,
but time and wisdom is also a gift.
it is.
So, all
Yep.
right, I just wanted to see if you agree with that because it's again these the one thing that I've also got from this, and I'd love your feedback on this is there are very few instances in life that are just pure black and white. It is a bunch of grays, and you're always stuck in these positions of these like juxtapositions of competing interests and thoughts. Do you agree? Do you have any insight or thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally relate to that. Why? Because what you actually said, there's a lot of grays and white and black, but in the end, um, if you are pure and you are really passionate about and you really want things to happen,
Yeah.
you always find the light,
Ooh,
always. And if you don't, and of course it can be challenging, it can be really hard, and but if you are looking in that mirror, what you said before, and you look at yourself and you say, okay, I'm here and now. What what is wrong with my life? What is my next track to go to? That is a rhetoric question also, but also a way of programming your mind for your next station.
Yes. Yes. I love it. The next station.
Yep.
Man, you are, I'm telling you, by the way, this has seemed like 10 minutes. We're almost at an hour mark. So I want to be cognizant of time.
Yep.
Let's do this because I want to spend a good half hour on what you're working on now because you're working on some brilliant things and we're trying
Mhm.
to change the world. 1 to 2, chapter 2, additional. You've already given us tons of insights, but now you're talking about going to the digital place. 1 to 2 more really profound, pivotal moment insights for you. And then we can kind of start transitioning to AI, what you're working on now, and how we're going to both change the world together.
Let's say to close this chapter, I learned to reinvent myself, literally.
What does that look like? I'm interested in that because people say this all the
Look,
time. What did that look
no,
like
no,
for
no,
you?
no, no, no. I'm really talking about rewiring how you think, act, behave, and
Ooh.
foster the thing you really want.
Yeah, and so my question is, the other thing that I think we do here is interesting. You hear people say exactly what you just said. What did that actually look like for you in practice? What did you do?
For me, I worked even harder. I made
Mm,
100 hours work weeks. I studied my ass off, literally, learned everything about, let's say, digital media, the new inventions, stay ahead. Had, of course, nice network in Macromedia, later in Adobe. Um, and for me, it was really about thinking about what is the cement or fabric, how our society will use information technology in a way which fosters and creates a better world for all.
mm,
That was
beautiful.
for me a very conclusive moment in that chapter of my life, because that's so in that thing in the beginning was like, yeah, I'm in the marketing communication world. Yeah, I make a shitload of money, and I had this great party at Diesel, and then everybody goes wild, and girls in cages and stuff. Yeah, but in
Well,
the end,
you were living Don Draper life like me. It's funny how we glorify the wrong things in the media, right?
yeah, it is. And you really start worrying because if you are enter a bar in Miami and they recognize you and say, "Hey, I have your bottle ready here. Your name is on it." Then oh,
Right.
I'm in this shitty place here.
Yeah, this is not a good place to be.
No,
All right, so you completely redefined yourself. This is beautiful, and then you did that by again. We're always coming back to this thinking deeply,
yep,
critically thinking, trying to figure out why the things work the way they do, but then also impact the world and society. So take me from there.
yeah. So at the Digital City Foundation, we created the first virtual broadcast with Rob Glazer of Real Networks. He was fired before at Microsoft.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
was fun, and did some art projects. Yeah, worked also at Lost Boys Interactive.
Yeah,
Lost Boys was very famous in the Netherlands.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, also for me, not really rewarding because it was more of the same marketing and communication mumbo jumbo. So not really challenging, to be honest.
right, right.
And then when the 9/11 moment happens, everybody was fired. So it's like, okay, your lawyer is sitting at your desk. Give me the keys for your car, and by the way, you're fired, and this is your bonus package. Goodbye. So very American.
Right, right.
Um, so it's completely the same in America or in Europe. You don't have any rights. It's like
Yeah,
goodbye. Thanks for your
yeah.
services.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, not really. So because you have to pay something, but in the end, it's. And then I realized, okay, hmm, how can I really create value which is sustainable?
Mm,
So that was the first seed growing in my head. I need to do something about sustainability and the future generation and how to rewire also how our society works.
And where are we? Are we 10 years ago, 20 years ago? You're thinking about this? Like, where are we on the timeline here?
It was about um 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're here. We're about 2010-ish, right?
Yes,
And you're
correct. Yeah.
starting to ask, you've had a beautiful career in many different ways and ups and downs and reinventions. And now you're starting to ask, and I think it's interesting. I'll ask this one question um, before we get to this, and I'm going to call this chapter 3 is what we're really transitioning into because you're starting to ask the real big questions in life. You've met a lot of successful, influential people, right? I
Yeah.
have myself. And I don't know if I have an answer to this, but I like this question. I might add this to all future ones. Is there a consistent theme when you look back and what you've learned from these people? We mentioned Peter, you mentioned, um, Macromedia guy, the Microsoft guy, all of these different people that had made an impact or people might have known. Is there a consistent theme of the thing of something you learn from these types of people? Or is it more just sporadic and there's a really meaningful thing that you take from each one of those relationships? What are your thoughts there?
Um, I don't believe in coincidence. I think
Mm,
I was destined to meet those people at that point in time in life to bring insights in how they, let's say, work, operate, and also how I can learn from it in a way uh, which is not destroying myself as a person. And
mm,
this is maybe this is not arrogant, but this is really reflective.
yeah.
If you look, for example, like guys of Elon Musk or Ray Kurzweil or Peter Show, they are all over the internet, do a lot of stuff, etc. Um, and they have great thoughts, of course. But sometimes I really think you know it all, but there are a lot of people who really know more. And this is also why I like your podcast because it's really about the human tissue
Yes.
that matters.
And that gave me chills. I appreciate that.
Good.
That's actually the biggest compliment I could ever get. Um, yeah. And the fact that do you think you need to go through a lot of those interactions to come to this conclusion? Because I've come to a similar conclusion, obviously, too. Or what are your thoughts there on how you came to that conclusion? Because I think it's a very good insight.
Mm, I think everyone has his, let's say, uh, road and stations you need to take in life. Get
Yeah,
married, have
yeah,
children,
yeah.
and for me, that let's say that last chapter was born when I met my wife. I was looking in her
Mm,
eyes, and I recalled one thing. I know it very sure. I was home, so it's that gut feeling I belong somewhere. So I share the love for my wife. We have three beautiful children, and then I said, okay, now my life is in a circle, and I'm in the next phase of wisdom, so to speak, to transform my wisdom to my children.
that is so beautiful, man. And let's go there. So now you're asking the big questions. The reason why we even started talking was I met Anton, your co-founder, right? I had seen him
Mhm.
talk about safety and governance. We had the intro call. You came as well. We all had a beautiful conversation. I really maybe talk to me about the big questions you started asking, and then how AI has really started to become part of the backbone of the systems that you're building. Let's start there, and we'll go wherever you want.
Okay, so when I was, let's say, 38 or so ish, I got a very nice project with virtual reality funding. And I met my wife, of course. And then I studied at UCSB, University of Santa Barbara, and talked to folks of WorldVis and Andy. And Andy is, he's a rock star. That's super great. He basically created the first 3D stereo virtual reality engine ever, um, with just a bunch of scripts, a lot of Python. So even the inventor of Python worked on that project to make that happen.
Right.
And I was in that lab. And talk to those people who were, of course, more intelligent than me. But in the end, I had a client. The client in this case was a justice department in the Netherlands, and they wanted to me build a virtual park for, let's say, validating question of criminals. So it was basically a fusion between a lie detector, which is used by the CIA, and a virtual reality game. And you
Interesting.
can, let's say, wire up a criminal and see how he behaves to a certain test pattern. That worked nice. But then I looked at all those patterns and I said, I really hate that analysts work, because why don't we have an AI for that?
Right.
And that's a repetitive thing. Why don't we have an AI for stupid repetitive stuff? And
Yes.
so that's also now happening with robots, because dangerous, dull, and repetitive robots are perfect. But now we have robots who are more intelligent as the entire human race. Wow. And that is walking in your street. Wow. So how will you, let's say, look at that process of, okay, now it's not the question is, hey, do we have an AI for that? No, do we have a human for that?
Mm.
So I'm the founder of the Last Consultant, and that started as an insight of that the standard traditional consultancy model is very broken.
Right.
You come there, you do your story, you write down, you have a report, you say yada yada. You are just let's say, a chess piece on the chessboard, and the report goes into a closet somewhere, but nobody reads and nobody cares.
Yeah.
I think that is not how true consultants should act. So I started with the idea, suppose I have, and of course I was inspired by the great book of Ray Kurzweil, How to Create a Brain.
Yes.
And I said, what if I could create my own personal RAG, which actually, for me, creating a coexistence. So of course AI will be much smarter than the average human being. But if
Do you
you
think we're
look at,
already there, by the way?
yeah, we are beyond. And if you
When
look
do you
at
think
the
we hit that inflection point? There's debate about
uh,
this.
the first debate is 1.5 year ago or so, I think, in a very closed circuit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
what was that? So a year and a half ago, what was that moment for you?
for me, was that the moment that I worked with Dr. Linda on a process how to poison LMS systems. So I written a piece together, and it was published by 360 magazine. I will give you the link with Dr. Linda. And basically, I created all those attack patterns to bring down every AI chatbot system in the world
Yeah.
in a couple of minutes.
Uh-huh.
And I published it, of course, and everybody liked it. And I had this naive thinking that when I published that article, and it was also in the let's say, in the Library of Congress in the USA, that people who should actually read it. Wrong. That's a wrong question. That's a wrong assumption. This again, assumption is the model of all fuck ups. That's for sure.
Right. Good.
But the bizarre thing was about 2 weeks ago we had this thing of Anthropic, and said Anthropic will kill humans. AI systems are self-conscious, so to speak, but also behaving in a way that a human will never follow how the behavioral construct is being created.
Right.
So what I did in my let's say Last Consultant synthetic intelligence methodology is basically create a system of systems which is interfacing with all the several subsystems. And it doesn't matter if it's an AI from China, or it is Mistral from Europe, or it is Claude, or it is OpenAI. I don't care. I have this orchestration process. You just fire your data towards those systems. The systems come back. They are in a cube somehow. And then you get consensus, which is not biased, fact checked, and explainable as an explainable AI. And in the beginning, let's say 2 years ago, I created the first prototype for it. But right now, it's really a platform where people can upload documents, have something called a synthetic workforce. So you can fire up 100 or 200 agents to work on a problem for you 24/7. And that's where the superpower hits. That's the great time now we have. And that is also why I'm a firm believer that we now have the technology to surpass our evolutionary monkey mind. Why spend a whole life on the same education again? Why not use the insights of a previous life
Yeah.
and upload it towards the next generation?
Yeah. Yeah. And so talk to me about that, which is you have built these systems now and we're at a true, my prediction, or I think it's starting a prediction, it's pretty evident by the end of this year, human work is going to really start getting impacted, right?
Yep.
And people don't like it's millions of people in the US are using ChatGPT as a Google search or don't even know what it is, honestly, right? And it's our job to how do we accelerate the education and knowledge of what real reality is. By the way, I talk about this in corporations and at my work all the time, and I still just
Mhm.
get these blank stares of like, I don't know about that. Or I don't even understand what you're talking about. I was like, how do you think we create action? Because I always say this, me and you are less than 1% of the world that
Yep.
has the funds and the access to these tools, the knowledge, the network, and can actually make a meaningful, impactful change. What do we do to help other than what we're doing right now? This is my solution, right? This is my superpower, my passion combined with education and awareness. That is my contribution. What is your contribution? What do you think people that are listening to this can help do to get people to wake up?
I think it's very relevant that people realize that we are in an inflection point. And that inflection point consists of two things. The human decision making is becoming structurally unacceptable in certain governance context.
Mm,
So we need a bridge for human wisdom with machine speed execution with
yeah.
full accountability.
Yes.
That is my core. That is what I do all day, all night.
And that's it. And I think it's the but then my question to you is, let's go back to this scintilla, and this is why we do what we do. Because now I have so many context points for you to pull from your beautiful brain and wisdom. Explain that to me because that still is lost. I actually had this revelation yesterday. I was talking to my buddy. He's got this beautiful company called NPM Labs. He's deep in the DeFi blockchain space. And I was talking about our similar, like why we're talking, we have similar governance technology. And I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty basic stuff. Hey, most current AIs right now don't have an enforcement gate or layer.
Yeah.
The the LLM just makes its own decisions. Hallucinations are real. Like really basic stuff in my mind, straight over the head, right? He's like, I don't really understand what you're talking about. He's like, but what you're saying, I know is something we need to be doing. So my question to you, we're going all the way back to the military. Put that into a concise thought that people can understand.
Okay. Um, we have a very expensive campfire, which is called AI. We have a campfire, and we just throw more compute to it, more wood. But in the end, we get AI slop, hallucination systems which are not verifiable, not audited, just a pattern which is, yeah, basically creating random stuff. To be
Yeah.
really honest.
Yeah.
So I think we now have the technology to remember everything we do in life. Our brain, the wetware in our head, is incapable to recall every pattern they learn in life. In this pivotal moment of coexistence, you can offload your cognitive task towards a system and create a new type of, let's say, Zen moment in your life.
Yes.
Everyone wants that Zen moment, and you need to convince people that the technology is there to help you really and foster the future, which is, in my opinion, renewable, um, fully, let's say, charged for the future generations when it comes to power consumption. So instead of, let's say, burning uh, billions on videos, on face swap nonsense, you should be conscious about what will you spend your compute power on if this is only your match you can use.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in the end, there is not limitless energy. Yeah, of course, in the future, maybe. And when it comes to people, I see, yeah, to be really honest, I see two types of people. I see 99% of the people are incapable to relate what we talk about.
Yeah.
They are not educated enough to understand the pattern and what is coming next, like a
Yeah.
time machine,
Yeah.
because then they cannot connect the dots.
Yeah.
But if you are in that place right now where you feel your life is totally overwhelmed and you cannot get a grip on yourself, I hope you will find this talk inspirational, but also practical. So again, sit back, shut down the shit show of all the war stuff, whatever, it poisoning your brain. Listen to your inner core. What do you
Mhm.
like in life? What
Mhm.
value can you add from a human
Mhm.
to a human being?
Right.
And the second question is, what technology is out there to enable you to build that bridge in a
Yeah.
way which is sustainable and creates a recurring revenue for you as a person?
Yeah. And you said so many beautiful things there, but I actually think this is another reason why I love these conversations is I think we came to a very practical solution without you even
Yeah,
saying it, which is I think you answered the question in a very unique way, which is the energy. I keep on going back to this. It's still something I think about when we first talked. You made a um, very insightful comment of to generate you already have a system that can basically put out a Hollywood film in less than $100, but that
yeah,
takes thousands, 10,000 gallons plus of water. I
yeah,
think that's the answer. So you give visuals and you give very practical impacts of a click of a button, right? And you know who
yeah,
this really works on, who it matters most to that we need more than ever is the Gen Y, the younger generation, because they are very world health conscious. They've grown up in this world where they're constantly being pinged the world's a disaster, we're divisive, global warming, all of
yeah.
these things.
Yeah, but that is poisonous behavior because then you have the world of dystopia and utopia. But I think, um, yeah, so my children always ask me, Igor, what do you do? I said, I'm an Imagineer. So what the heck is an
Oh, I
Imagineer?
love it.
As an Imagineer is someone who uses his imagination to engineer a solution which is feasible for the world. So an engineer, a
Correct.
combination
Correct.
of imagination and engineering. So Imagineering is what I do.
Right.
And that's
Right.
also why I created this visualization engine, which basically you can just also create your own documentary, do research, create your own Netflix series, create your TikTok short stuff with a consistent storyline. But you can give the agent also, let's say, things to really help people. So like something like loneliness, because we have all this social media and stuff, and everybody said, social media is great. I
The
think social
pandemic.
media total sucks. Social media is not social media, it's asocial media,
It
because
is.
you are glued to your screen. You lost the capability to really relate to people, and you lose the urge to go out, meet people, and do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree with you on the no dystopia, but I'm
Mhm.
actually going to push back and say, but there's a yes and here, right?
Yep.
We need to say a click of a button wastes 10,000 gallons of water, but we then
Yep.
need to use your system to say, hey, if we think about it differently, the click of a button could regrow the Amazon, bring more
Exactly.
oxygen, right? So,
And
so
that,
it is
and that,
the
and
storytelling part. I think you do need the consequence. You have to, like, that's how humans work, right?
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but you need to see if we can start telling stories. And I'd love to continue to talk about this. Like, this is the type of shit LinkedIn needs, right? It doesn't
Yep.
need another, hey, here's how to save 100 hours on creating your own virtual CEO through Claude. Like, I don't give a shit about any of that stuff, right? But if we can
Yeah.
start using your intelligent systems to make really beautiful, meaningful graphics to say, one click,
Yep.
water dumpage, another click, brand new forest, right? That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. It's like there's options there, right?
Yeah, but also the why we need to change, because in the end,
Yes.
if you look at the current rate of building more data centers, now we have more data centers in space. We look at the CO2 footprint. We look at the amount of resources. It's like a green washing machine all over again.
Yeah.
So I really don't think that's the direction we need to go. By the way, every user who is using our platform, we have 1 or 2% we donate to CO2 reduction standards. Um, and I have, let's say, a very a provocative thesis for you to challenge your thinking, Mikey.
Yeah.
So, human decision making will become legally unacceptable in regulated industries within 3 years. What do you think?
Human decision making will become regulated or illegal.
Legally unacceptable in regulated industries within 3 years.
I would agree, hence why we're building this system, right? And
Yeah.
and I think because in 3 years, and we've said this, and this is why we'll talk about this, but like part of our system, there's actually many products in the system, and
Yeah.
we're getting back to this, and I'm sure you might have seen similar things. Is people can't even get past the base system, which is like, hey, at the machine learning level, you upload your documents and policies, and we give you a virtual airspace that your AI can play in. And if it goes
Yep.
out,
Yep.
mathematically calculate that, like, there's no way around it. We will tell
Yep.
you the AI has gone crazy, right?
Yeah. Correct.
That's just mathematics. That's all that
It
is.
is. Yeah.
They can't,
So.
but they can't get past that. They're like, oh,
No.
that's fantastic. They're not thinking about the implications of how this changes the way we work. So I am 100% with you, because I think me and you know one of the big unlocks here with AI is pattern recognition with massive amounts of data and systems. And humans are horrible at that. Why? That's why governments inevitably crumble, right? Humans
Massive.
cannot manage that. AI
Yep.
can manage that, but with a human in a loop, almost like an oracle, we are going to make beautiful decisions, and we need to get there
I agree.
sooner than possible,
Yeah.
as soon as we can.
Yeah. So, Mikey, I need to go to the next meeting. I really loved talking to
Yeah,
you.
it,
I
it
hope
was
you liked
amazing.
it. Yeah.
Let's shut it down real quick.
Yeah.
The just a minute, and I'll give you my minute or close down. So, my last question for you to ask every guest: you have now been through the Mikey G podcast experience. We could talk for another 40 hours. Honest, raw feedback about what we just did.
Um, a pivotal requirement for humanity for the next stage.
Damn, that made me feel good. And I love it. And listen, I'm just going to go through a couple things very, very quickly. The power of boredom forces you to reflect. That is the
Yep.
main theme that we went through.
Yep.
Um, problem solving, this power of a simple idea through your military experience. Time is relentless, but also a gift. And the grays, the juxtaposition of life that come to you, beautiful things. And I'll just leave it at this: the two things that struck me the most, how important human tissue part is, meeting all of these brilliant people and influential
Yeah.
people. And then the next stage of your wisdom, which is when you were at home, you had the vivid memory of love in the complete circle of life,
Yeah.
and how impactful that is and why we are here now. This is the beginning of a friendship. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know you're incredibly busy, and you just gave me an hour and 20 minutes of your life. So much love, Igor. I can't wait to bring you
Thanks
on the next
again.
podcast next week. Have
Yeah,
a great day.
great to talk to you again, and looking forward to the next one. And stay safe.
All right. See you later.